Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. Guys, we got another big time episode coming for you today. Guys, we approaching the playoffs. We about to get into it. We got my man Daniel coming on, big Cuz. You know what I mean? Always coming in, dropping knowledge and everything. So we about to get down to the get down with that. We're just waiting for him to get his link and get on, and we'll do that. But basically last week we got to recap what happened last week. A lot of stuff happened last week. We got to get to the bottom of this. You know what I mean? That's why I chose Daniel today, because we get to the bottom of stuff. So we got to get to the bottom of this. And yeah, we got to talk about what happened in week 17, talk about week 18, and we're going to talk about who's going to actually get in. We're going to talk about who's getting into the playoffs and potentially how far they can go. So we're going to do that. We're going to bring them in big time. What the fuck is good? Daniel, yo, welcome back to the show, man. You're one of the fan favorites. Did you know
Are we
that?
surprised? Are we surprised?
I said I would say I'm surprised, but well, you're quite the likable kind of guy. So, listen, man, I brought you on today because we got to get down to the get down on this. You know what I'm saying? We're getting to the playoffs. We got to figure this thing out. When me and you get together, shit gets solved. So we got to get down to the bottom of this, okay?
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I knew you would, man. I knew you would. All right. So here we're going to do. We're going to start with the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys won a very controversial game,
To say the least.
20-19. And let's go. Jared Goff was 19 of 34 for 271 yards, one touchdown, two picks. David Montgomery was 14 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had six receptions for 90 yards and a score. And Sam Laporta actually had seven receptions for 84 yards. And Jameson Williams actually had a pretty good game of 69 yards. You know, so it's average at least, you know.
Coming
And
back from his injury, yeah.
yeah, he's finally coming back, and he had a suspension too, if you remember. I think
Yeah.
it's something that he wasn't supposed to do. I think it had to do with the injury, him saying I'm coming back, but whatever. Then Dak, he was 26 38, 345 yards, two touchdowns, and a pick. Tony Pollard had 49 yards rushing. CD Lamb had actually CD went off. I'm not gonna lie to you. CD Lamb.
CD always goes off. I got mad respect for him.
Hold on, let me read his stats, but I got a statement about him. He had 13 receptions for 227 yards and a touchdown. And Brandon Cooks also had 5 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. So hold on. So CD Lamb, I'm not gonna lie to you, he's growing on me. So when I talk about wide receivers and what I say personally about wide receivers and everything, I'm actually more scared of a wide receiver who'll give you 10 catches and 100 yards and like 3 touchdowns. I'm more scared of that than a guy who's going to give you 150 yards receiving and a touchdown. So I know I basically dropped the numbers way down to basically say I'm more afraid of touchdowns than receiving yards.
Of course.
Some guys, some wide receivers, when they get 10 catches or when they get up to 150 yards receiving, it turns into about 2 to 3 scores all the time. Some guys, it doesn't happen that way. For CD, for a long time, he would have 150-yard games. He'd have 180-yard games, and it'd be like 1 touchdown. But when you start talking about 200 yards and over 200 yards, now you're talking about something that's like, all right, you kind of bridging that gap, and he's been doing that lately.
Yeah.
But talk to me about this game and everything.
Well, Cowboys somehow keep winning at home, even with the refs' help. I don't know what that's about, but
Yeah, what was that about? But I even got thoughts about that. Hold on. I got thoughts about that. Because in my opinion, this is still Dan Campbell's fault. Because why would you go for it again? If you did it and you got to do it again, why would you not like kick the field goal? The numbers say you ain't going to pick it up a second time. Why would you
Numbers
go?
were against him, but
I don't
you
agree.
also know Dan Campbell is aggressive.
Yeah, but there's a line between aggressive and stupid, and he flirting with
But
it.
but I don't disagree. But he wasn't wrong. He did get it. Just the refs messed it up and took it
Yeah, but
away.
I'm saying that
Like
second time, you got to kick the field goal after that. They fucked it up. You got to kick the field goal after that. And
tie
he
it up.
was like, I'm going for it. Like, actually, he went through it. He went for it too many times down there because there was a field goal he probably should have had, and he didn't go for, and he went for it then, and they missed those points as well. So I agree there's a time to go for it when the numbers are on your side, but you can't just go with the data and
He's
basically
just.
say, "Oh,
I
analytically,
think
this is a superior play." No, sometimes it's stupid.
no, I don't disagree. But I think Dan Campbell as a person, just in general, he's all in. You know what I mean? With the Lions, used to play for him back in the day. He's like, I'm just going to be aggressive, see what happens. I mean, we're sitting here at 11-4 at the time, 11-5 now. We won our division for the first time in 30 years. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna go
don't
here and
know.
try to get a dub.
Yeah,
Get that two
I
seed.
don't know if that changes anything. To tell you the truth, I mean, yeah, well, yeah, yeah. So that they could have had the 2 seed, and now they're in 3 seed. Now that's not a huge quantum leap, but I do think that, like, all right, cool. All right, I see your point. I get your point. It didn't really mess up too much. Okay, but I would in that scenario, I probably would have kicked the field.
I think most people would have kicked the field goal, tied it up, overtime, whatnot. But like I have said that since the beginning of the year, Dan Campbell's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going for dubs. He's not going for ties or we had a good loss. I went dubs.
Nah, that's valid. That's valid. I'll stick with that. So, in conclusion, would you have gone for it that second time, or would you have kicked the field goal?
Me, no, I'd kick the field goal.
I didn't think he was going to say that.
The Cowboy, listen, for some reason, Cowboys, their last 16 games at home, undefeated.
Mhm. You know what though? Honestly, I would feel so much more like, and I still think like my pick of the Lions going to the NFC Championship game. I still am standing on that. I'm going. Listen, I'm going to have credit for that when it happens because I've been saying it since like August.
Listen,
But, but I tell you what,
I don't think anybody in the NFC wants to see the Lions in the playoffs, if we're being honest.
But I tell you what, if they would have like got like Chase Young, they should have went after Chase Young. If they would have got Chase Young,
Oh, for a bookend with Aiden Hudson.
man, oh man, it might have been right. They might have been like, all right, that's too much. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. All right, moving on. Listen, the Ravens whooped up on the Dolphins. the
Listen,
Ravens,
about
the Ravens have been beating people to fuck up lately.
the Ravens been whooping teams that everybody's like, oh, they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, no, they're
I'm
not.
scared of these teams, and they're like, I'm like whipping, like stepping all over them, stomping them out. It looks bad. It looks bad. But they beat the Dolphins 56-19.
19.
Now I will say though, it's more actually the Dolphins tried to get back in, so they went forward on their side of the field at like the 30, and then they got points off it. So it was more like 42-19, but that's not saying too much.
That's not much better.
So Tua was 28 or 38 for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. David Anche, he was 14 carries for 107 yards. Tyreek Hill had 6 receptions for 76 yards. And that's pretty much everything there. Did they have any picks? They didn't have any picks, right? Nope, no picks.
Oh.
And Lamar Action Jackson, he was 18-21 for 321 yards and five
Five
touchdowns
tutty.
and no
Five
picks.
tutties. So 13 passes were not touchdowns.
Yes.
That's it. He threw 18 and 13 weren't touchdowns.
It was only a couple that weren't touchdowns.
Efficient, hey, efficient.
That is
Was
efficient.
it he was very quarterbacky.
He was very quarterbacky in. You see that? He was see them glasses ain't for nothing. He was very quarterbacky in. Gus Edwards had 16 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown, and Melvin Gordon actually came back with a touchdown in this game too. Didn't even know he was still in the
Listen,
NFL.
listen, everybody was eating on
Listen,
on Sunday.
you know what I'm saying? And then Zay Flowers, 3 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown. He think he Randy Moss now.
Well, that's the thing. It's 106 yards, but like 70 of it was on one play.
Yeah, yeah, that's valid. Um, who else we got? Justice Hill. He had 5 receptions for 64 yards and a touchdown. And Isaiah Likely is filling in very well for Mark Andrews being out for the
Andrews, yeah.
year. He had 42 yards, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. And then I don't even know who this is, but Charlie Kolar. He also had one catch for 19 yards, and that was a touchdown. And Patrick Ricard also had the fullback had a touchdown as well.
Listen, everybody was eating. Okay.
Go ahead, talk. I want to hear you talk. I'm not even gonna say nothing.
Everybody was eating. Everybody was hating on Lamar for some reason after the last game. So he came out and just showed them what's up.
So that was my thing. So that's kind of my biggest take from this. Well, I got 2 takes, but my biggest take is kind of Lamar Jackson is the MVP. Before he even played San Fran last week, I felt like he was the MVP. And I didn't understand. This is one thing that I'll never understand. How do you have 2 MVP candidates on the same team?
Right.
I don't believe in that. That's like, so when you say
Because they'll take votes away from each other.
yeah, somebody gotta be the most valuable. You see where I went to there? The most valuable. And if you got 2 players and you're like, all right, and if for everybody who doesn't know, we're talking about the 49ers. We're talking about CMC and we're talking about
Purdy.
Brock
Purdy.
When you have 2 players on the same team, like neither one of them can be the most valuable. And I don't see how you're saying the most valuable when they went on their 3-game losing streak. They were both there, and the other players that were injured came back, and then they haven't lost since, except for
Right.
that. So I don't understand that whole thing. But Lamar, if you don't think he's the MVP at this point, you just hate me. That's how I feel. And I'm even saying that because in the summer, I was kind of one of the ones on the fence if I wanted to give him a contract or not. I can still validate the statement. My statement ended with I would pay Lamar, but I still validate that statement that I was on the fence on paying Lamar. And he's MVP now.
Listen, you get the right offensive coordinator, you can do some things.
You can do something, or you just get Lamar Jackson and say, here's the ball, just do whatever you want.
He is kind of that ultimate like Swiss Army knife. Just like if the play breaks down, you know he can get me something.
Absolutely, absolutely. But my other take is about the Dolphins and a reoccurring theme. I at least have identified what it will look like when the Dolphins lose this year. I have identified that. What it would look like is it's going to be a tough defense that's going to make them sustain drives. So they're going to take away the big plays and they're going to say you're going to have 10-play drives all game.
If you're going to win, yeah.
Yes. And then if you have an offense that can take the quarterback out of it, this is an offense that can generate 20 points. And if you have a quarterback that can play better than Tua Tagovailoa, which is a lot of quarterbacks in my opinion, that's who they're going to lose to, that team. There's a couple teams that fit that dynamic. We will get into that in the next segment, but that's how I feel about Miami. Like there's the ceiling. We're a long way from when they beat Denver and they put up 70. We're a long way from there. We can see
distant memory.
This is like
distant memory.
This is like in Rocky if the Russian actually turned out now he's a scrub. It's like now he's ass. Like
right.
He was the Russian. We was all scared for our lives, and I was like, oh, okay, he's slow.
Look at bleeding.
Yeah, we passed him bleeding. We know he bleed now. He's just
you don't need that.
You gonna whip his ass from time to time. You big slew-footed Russian. Okay, let's keep going. All right, we're gonna talk about these the Bucks and the Saints. And I do have a question.
The mediocrity title.
I do have a question in the next segment, but we just going to talk about this game. So, the Saints finally show up and show people and look at the team that everybody assumed was going to win the division and went to work on them. And honestly, it was a wider gap than the score actually shows. But the Saints went into Tampa, won 23-13. Baker Mayfield was 23 of 33 for 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Not much on the ground. I'm not even going to mention it. And Trey Palmer led them in receiving with 4 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. And Chris Godwin had 3 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. And did they have any picks or anything? No, they did not. Derek Carr was 24 of 32 for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jameson Williams had 19 carries for 58 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. And then Juwan Johnson led them in receiving with 8 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. And Taysom Hill, boy, I tell you, I don't know how. every 4 games, he'd be like, oh, there's Taysom Hill. He had 2 receptions for 30 yards and a touchdown. And who had the picks for them? Jonathan Abram, he had a pick. And Alontae Taylor, he had another pick. All right, dissect. Get to the bottom of this game. I don't even know what to do with the NFC South anymore.
Well, we said this 17 weeks ago that the NFC South was up for grabs because they're terrible.
Nobody wants
Right now, it's you got the Saints and the Bucks 8-8 going into the final week. But guess what? They can vote if the Falcons beat the Bucks and the Saints lose. Falcons can win the division.
Well, the Falcons play the Saints.
I'm sorry, yeah, if the Falcons beat the Saints and the Bucks lose, the
Yeah,
Falcons
if
can
the
match
Bucks
right
lose,
now.
if the Bucks lose, the winner of the Falcons Saints game wins the division. So the Bucks got one more chance added.
So you're sitting here looking like we talked about, looking at a team that could go in here 8-8, 8-9, and make it be a host of the playoff game.
We said that a long time.
Yeah, we said it 17 weeks ago how bad that division was.
8-9.
8-9 and hosting a playoff game, man.
They're
That's
gonna host
ridiculous.
and they're gonna host the Eagles.
Right. You're gonna host it. Eagles just gonna come in and stomp you out.
So I mean, it's not. To me, it's not much to say about this game. The NFC South, like throughout the year, okay, I'll give credit that throughout the year, each one of these teams showed against a team that you thought that they clearly weren't going to be able to compete with, and they beat that. They beat at least one of those teams, all 3 of them, this year: the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Saints. Okay, so I'll give them credit there. But I ain't got much more credit to give.
That's it. What else can you say?
Because consistent ain't been a term to use in the NFC South all year.
They're not good, man. They don't have a quarterback. The best quarterback, Derek Carr. He's not good.
Derek Carr's not good. I tried. I tried to root for him too. I've tried to be like, Derek, you know what? That Derek Carr, y'all better stop hating on him. But he just ain't giving me any reason.
Any reason, man.
He ain't helped nothing. So, all right, cool. We'll leave that there. All right. So I got a question. How your Eagles lose to the Cardinals?
Yo,
How did that
the Eagles are listen, the Eagles are drunk right now, man. I don't know how else to put it.
So
the games they've lost, it's fine. Okay, you lose against Cowboys, they're a good team. You lose against the Niners, okay, fine, whatever. But losing against the Cardinals when you was up like 28-7, like like you just ran the ball the whole time. You just ran the ball and just ran the clock out, and you probably still could have won.
I got my thoughts. Let me read the stats. I got my thoughts. The Cardinals, yes, just as you said, came back and won 35-31. Was this in Philly? This was in Philly, right? In Philly. Jalen Hurts was 18 of 23 for 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. And then Kenneth Gainwell threw a 17-yard game as well. DeAndre Swift led you on rushing with 13 carries for 61 yards. And A.J. Brown led you on receiving. He had 53 yards. Dallas Goedert had 47. Julio Jones, actually, there was a Julio Jones signing. He
Yeah, he
had
had two TDs.
he had two receptions, and both of them was some touchdowns.
Yeah, he had two tutties.
And the announcer even called it. He was like, "Get Julio Jones the ball on this play," and he got it to him as a touchdown. I said, "Check that out." And let's see who had a pick. Sidney Brown had a pick for you guys on defense. He returned that too. That was a big play. That was a big play. He returned that.
Listen, everything you're saying should equal up to a W.
You would think. Kyler Murray, it was 25 of 31 for 232 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. And I just told you Sidney Brown had that pick. James Conner had 26 carries for 128 yards and a touchdown. And also Michael Carter, not on like a bunch of yards, but he had 7 carries for 61 yards, but that's like 9 yards a carry almost.
Yeah.
And then, please forgive me because I don't know all of these Arizona Cardinals receivers. Greg Dortch. Greg Dortch let them receive it. Y'all let a dude named Greg Dortch torch y'all.
Listen, lit they ass up, man.
7 receptions for 82 yards. No touchdowns. Trey McBride had 50 yards reception or 48 yards receiving. And Michael Wilson, he had 35 yards receiving with a touchdown. And Michael Carter had 1 reception for 6 yards and a touchdown. And James Conner also had a one-handed touchdown grab, and I saw that. And who caught it? Joey Blunt was the guy who caught the pick. All right, let me go into this real quick. Don't you even say nothing yet. You just rebuttal this. So this whole year, I was pretty consistent when I said I didn't think this year was the year for the Eagles, and I'm more scared of the Eagles next year than I am this year. And the reason for that was because, and I think that's what's coming to a head right now. Y'all lost your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator coming into this year. That's the culture. Okay, so y'all started a new culture on offense and a new culture on defense. Great defenses have lost their defensive coordinator and then were trashed the next year. Now it's like they can't stop nobody. So y'all did that on offense and defense. So y'all got to reset and what's the word I'm looking for? Reestablish the culture. And I think when you look at a team throughout the year, you know how like sometimes people say, well, why don't you do the thing that you already did that you won with? Well, the reason for it is because if that's all you did, people would learn what you wanted to do. So you have to
just stop it.
All year, y'all were able to do something. I think that's why y'all started 9-1, and teams started to say, okay, we're going to stop that, and then we're going to stop that, and then we're going to try to take that away. And that kind of put your hands behind your back, and now y'all are having to figure out this little nuance. It's not as simple as running the ball or passing the ball. This little nuance of how teams or what teams have a feel about you is that you have to reestablish that. And I was curious to see. I was curious to see when this happened. I kind of saw this kind of coming, but I'm curious to see what y'all can do to fix your woes as you go into the playoffs.
Well, I mean, was it if they can beat the
Giants?
Right,
that was good stuff right there. I just gave you. I just want you to know that was good
solid, shit. Solid analysis. That was a solid analysis.
Go ahead, guys.
So was it they play the Giants next week? Cowboys play the Commanders.
I think even if y'all lost that game, I don't think you slide anymore. You're not getting
No. Sadly, no. They're not after what they just did.
I don't even know if you have to sit people next week.
I mean, I guess to your point, like we talked about 17 weeks ago, yeah, I thought that they would be able to overcome the issues just based off pure talent. Because you look at them on paper and they're disgusting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at them purely on paper, offensively and defensively, they got studs everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. That's why I'm saying it's not the talent; it's just young talent. But like now, you can kind of see though some things like your DBs do need some revamping, and you can kind of So, but it was more like this young talent got to grow up. You know what I mean? Usually rookies don't get you over a hump. So go ahead.
But that's to your point, losing your defensive coordinator, I feel like affects the secondary the most. Your front seven knows to go
Yeah,
forward, go get
go
that
get the
ball.
passer. Nah, that's a valid take. That's a good take right there.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're in the front seven, my job is to get that ball right there. That's it.
Yeah, because you
Y'all,
can
y'all, y'all worry about that backside stuff.
yeah,
You
because
know
you
what I
can be
mean?
switching from like a cover three defense. Now you're in zone, and now you're like, oh, I now want you to do man predominantly. And it's like, well, that's not where I was good last year. You're right. That was
Right.
100% right. I didn't even think about that. Go ahead.
So that's that. So to your point, yeah, the DBs need some off-season help. I'm hoping they can draft some, maybe get the right kind of coaching there, but like the secondary has just given up way too much. Obviously, you can't be up that much against the 4-7 Cardinals and then have them come back and beat you at home.
I got a question because with the Cardinals, yes, they are 4-7, but they also, ever since Kyler Murray came back, have looked like a different team. In this offseason, do you move off of Kyler Murray if you're the GM, or do you keep him in
Depends on the
but
quarterback.
let's say because you're not going to get Caleb Williams, so you might get Drake May. So let's say Drake May's on the board, and now you got Drake May.
Or Michael Penix.
I wouldn't. Once you get to that third quarterback, I wouldn't. But the top two, you might have that conversation. So if you got one of the top two quarterbacks, and now he's on the board, and now you got to pick, do you take him or do you take a player and still build around Kyler Murray?
From what Kyler has shown us on and off the field, I probably move on.
But he
I'm
beat
not.
like hold on, but he beat in like 2 consecutive weeks. Look what he did in 2 consecutive weeks. So this week, yeah, he beat the Eagles, right? He beat the Eagles this week, and then last week, what did they beat? No, I'm sorry, they lost. They lost to the Bears last week,
Yeah,
which is another conversation question about Justin Fields. We probably should have. I might ask you that too. Okay, never mind. Yeah, they lost the last 2 games and they beat the Eagles, but they beat somebody. And they was like, oh snap, they beat them. Either way, I don't know.
probably the Steelers.
It probably was the Steelers. I think it was the Steelers. Yep, it was the Steelers. So yeah, so they're 2-2 with Colin coming back, and you're saying move off. I think I don't know,
If you have to put a contract stipulation for a player that he has to study the playbook instead of playing Fortnite or whatever, that's a concern.
but that's not fair. Only because so like owners don't come out as like the worst owners in the NFL in that regard, where it's like the contract is like I got to work for this man, but like he might be the worst owner in the NFL, and that is coming out this year too. So when you
I don't
say
know. Falcons owner is pretty bad, but
I okay, but so all right, so there's no winners here. So what all I'm saying is if one of the top 5 worst owners in the NFL is basically saying, "Oh, this is how I want to stipulate it, and this is what I'm bringing out into the media," maybe that might have been overblown. And Kyler, because Kyler kind of had them looking legit, at least legitimate. You know what I mean? Like, what would have happened for 17 weeks if he was there?
I don't disagree. But you've seen what's happened for 17 weeks. Has he made the playoffs yet?
Yes,
Once?
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's been there
In
for some
5 years,
years.
but he also inherited the Arizona Cardinals.
It's the Cardinals. I get that, but like, so here's the thing. To your point, how talented he is. I'm the GM. I could possibly get a Caleb Williams or Drake May,
You ain't
a
getting Caleb.
bigger,
You're not going to get
a
Caleb.
big, a bigger, stronger quarterback, and I can get him off my books and get some picks, get some players, and just revamp it. Like
All right, let me ask you this. All right, so say so in a team for a team that might actually be in the play to get Caleb Williams because Arizona's not going to be in play. They've won too many games. The Chicago Bears are probably going to have the number 1 pick, not because of their record, because they made the trade with Carolina.
right.
So with Justin Fields, do you feel the same way, or do you feel like because Justin Fields is going to
I
have to get paid.
I like Fields better because I saw everyone is still thinking about is Caleb Williams' Heisman year,
Mm-hmm.
which was last year.
Yes.
This year, he lost 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
He sat out on a bowl game, and then his backup, who ain't played a game all year, and took a snap, had 6 touchdowns in the bowl game. So
Mm-hmm.
is Caleb Williams a system quarterback? Is that why he's good? Because Lincoln Riley, as we know, can put offenses together and make you look amazing.
Well, I think that
I'm not taking away from his skill set or how good he is,
so you
but
so
I'm just
you
saying.
actually know more about the college quarterbacks before the draft, like throughout the year. You actually watch more college than I do. I'm still adjusting to what it means for all of the top quarterbacks going to these big universities. So when we was growing up, if you like the best quarterbacks in the NFL, none of them went to the big schools.
Right.
So now with these NIL deals, they're going to the big schools. So I don't know. To answer the question, I probably wouldn't be the best one to ask that question to be honest. I'd have to look and evaluate it because he was on a very good team, to your point, in USC. So I don't know what that means.
So personally, again, and you have the number one pick, you can once again flip that into more picks, more help for Justin, and you can still go out there and get you a Marvin,
Right. That's
or
what I'm
keep the number
saying.
one pick and get Marvin because him and DJ Moore apparently grew up together,
Excuse the
and
background.
and they and they were and they were and Justin Fields and him were teammates.
Right.
Like, and Marvin's a beast.
Marvin's a beast. He's a problem. Um. Okay. All right. Cool. I mean, so it's something to think about there. We'll keep that in mind. We're not going to completely because me and you're going to get down on what to do next year a lot more throughout the year. So, so we're gonna get there, but we're gonna keep it a little bit more focused. And because I want to talk about this before we head to the next segment. So my Colts, we won 23-20 against the Raiders. Aiden O'Connell was 30 of 47 for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. Yes, he did light us up. I watched the game. Zach White had 20 carries for 71 yards. Devontae Adams had 13 receptions for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that boy went to work. And there were no picks. That's why we won the game. Gardner Minshew was 15 to 23 for 224 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Jonathan Taylor had 21 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown. Actually, our leading receiver was whatchamacallit, Alec Pierce, and he only had one reception for 58 yards, and that was a touchdown. And then Josh Jones had 2 receptions for 58 yards. And yeah, there were no picks in this one either. So let me dive in real quick, and you can rebuttal what I'm saying. First of all, I want to give props to Antonio Pierce, the job that he's done. I couldn't be happier that he did the job that he did with this team, considering that what they invested into was what's that damn coach's name? I can't even think of it right now.
Which one?
McDaniels, Josh McDaniels.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
they invested
debacle.
into him, and he's a travesty. And the only time he was ever good was when he cheated. And DJ Williams said that on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I can't like him coming in as being his favorite team. It was is big what he has done. Curious to see what they do in the offseason, in terms of keeping him or letting him go or whatever. Um, and yeah, and the Colts, like I mean, we finally played like we should have played. I don't know how we lost to the Falcons last week, but we did. And we bounced back here. And yeah, this is gonna put us in a pretty interesting situation come week 18.
I think the Colts are fine. I think they pull it off. I think they get that last wild card.
Okay. Okay. Well then we probably well then shift your focus, do me a favor, shift your focus to the Raiders because the Colts are a part of our next segment. So shift your focus to the Raiders and talk to me about the Raiders and what you feel about them, the state of them, anything.
I think the Raiders have needed a lot of help for a long time. I think you got a top 10 wide receiver that's wasting away.
Oh, he
I
ain't
think
top
you
10, he's top five.
top five, sorry. You know what I'm saying though? Like he came out there to play with Derek Carr
Mm-hmm.
and you guys shipped him off. He is
Mm-hmm.
going to have something to say this offseason.
Uh-huh.
Either get rid of me or you know what I mean, draft something, you know what I'm saying? But like, I'm not doing this. You're not wasting my career.
Correct. Correct. As he should.
Crosby, like the Raiders are a team that I think the Bears would trade for that number one pick and get like
Next Crosby?
play
Oh no, bro. I don't know
the
what to say.
number one overall pick to get Caleb Williams into Vegas. You're not telling me they're not giving up picks
No,
and Crosby if we want him?
The Raiders would do it. Well, I don't think the Bears would do it.
You don't think so?
I think they'd be giving up first round picks for the next 6 or 7 years.
Oh,
If
the Raiders?
yeah, to make that kind of play. But I don't think the Bears would. I don't see it
Oh,
happening.
I mean, they're already saying that the haul that the Bears could get for this number one pick, as opposed to last year with the Panthers,
Mhm.
is like night
Yeah,
and day.
yeah,
Like
because
it's
Caleb Williams would have been the number one pick last year too.
that's what I'm saying. You're robbing folks if you're like, hey, you want that number one pick? Like, yeah, I'm gonna need your whole team.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need the whole squad.
yeah. You just pass on over your grandchildren's birth certificates because I
I'm
own
gonna
them
slide that
too.
over,
I own them too.
getting
So
autumn joints.
yeah, so I just can't. I don't know. I just can't see them doing it. But I do think like so you being a college guy, we got 2 minutes to spare on this. I do think the Raiders or the Bears need to go get Jim Harbaugh about Michigan. That's my real opinion. I think they need to get him in the fold
So
and get him there.
it's
He's a culture changer, bro. He is he's annoying, he's hard to deal with and everything, but he changes a culture. Michigan is not supposed to be able to be winning in this new NIL paying players league because they're more revolved around academics. Michigan's not supposed to be the number one team in the country.
no.
And he's
Um,
able to thrive in that. I think you tell him you
I,
get
I
whatever you
I
want.
definitely think he's gone. Whatever happens next Monday, win or lose, I definitely think he's out because Michigan is offering him a fat contract. You know what I mean? Like he'd be one of the highest paid coaches in the game, but it's literally a stipulation that says you can't talk to no NFL teams for like 3 years.
Yeah, but you can't talk to NFL
Hey,
teams.
listen, they was talking to me. I didn't say nothing. They was you see how he likes to flip stuff around, like, hey man, were you cheating? I didn't know he was
I
cheating.
mean, somebody just slipped
He
me a
just
note, you know,
he
and I
just
just
gave me
read
the
the note. I
plays.
didn't talk to them. They gave me the note. What you want me to do?
He came in and gave me the plays, man. I don't know what's happening. I was like, this is interesting, and I put it into action. I don't ain't got nothing to do with me.
Listen, NFL team can buy you out of a contract. They can. So
Listen,
so yeah, but I do think Chicago or the Raiders they
I
need to.
think Chicago would be the best coaching decision they've made
I
if they
agree.
got Harbaugh since Lovey. Because they haven't been good consistently since Lovey.
I think he could be better than Lovey.
Oh,
I think I think
I
he could be
definitely think
better
he
than
could be
Lovey.
better.
Um, and with Caleb Williams, I don't know. Yeah, I agree.
Like I said, they haven't been good consistently since Lovey Smith, like offensively or defensively. But I definitely think Harbaugh could come in again, get rid of this fool we got there now, bring Harbaugh in, and just like you said, change the entire culture and the way things go.
Gotcha. I think that's a smart move. Good take there. Good take there. Okay, so now we are moving on to the segment. Do they get in? Now, I was actually thinking, like when I was doing all of these segments and stuff, and I was thinking of what I was going to say. I was thinking, do I need to even have a Week 18 list of games? And I decided, no, I don't, because if we talk about who's going to get in, then those are the games anyway. So I just said, all right, we can pretty much just have this conversation. So, do they get in? We're gonna start. We're gonna start in the AFC with a very easy team. I think we both can agree on this one, but technically, it's not over yet. Uh, do the Buffalo Bills get into the playoffs?
Yeah, wild card, but yeah, they get in.
They get it. Not listen. Not only do they get in, I actually give them a pretty good chance this year. I think the AFC is rather weak this year, and it's not too many strong teams when you look at it and say, "Oh, Buffalo can't go there and win," which they're going to be on the road all year.
Listen, it's what we said at the beginning of the year. It comes down to Josh Allen.
Is he
If he
going to?
gonna if is he gonna give you three tutties and run for one, or is he gonna throw three picks, trying to force some balls in there? Like that's
Right.
what it's gonna come down to.
Yep. Yep. So they're a very dangerous team. They're just as dangerous as a 5 seed as they would be as like a 2 seed. So
Yeah, you don't really want to see him, honestly. They're built for cold weather, so
absolutely. Right. So going down the list, I think you already said it a little bit earlier, but just say it again. Do the Indianapolis Colts get into the playoffs?
yeah, I think they lock up that last wild card spot because I
Oh,
think the Texans take the division. I mean, not Texans, the Jags.
well, I think if we win and the Jags lose, I'm pretty sure we win the division. Just to let you, I just remember throwing that out there. Now
Oh,
they're
I
playing
know. I
the
just don't
Titans.
see the
They're playing the Titans,
who have been trash.
but the Titans are they're trash, but like they're still a division game. You know what I mean? It's not like
That's why I love when they started this. What was it? A decade ago, at least, when they started making the last game of the year division games,
mhm.
because now it means something. You know what I mean?
Right. And I was actually pretty curious if in their earlier game who won that game, and Jacksonville won that game. So usually there's a split. I might be hoping for this more than I think it's going to happen. With that said, go ahead.
You got to remember. You got to remember. But the Texans with C.J. Stroud are actually pretty good.
Is he playing? He's playing this week, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So I mean, we got a test this week. You know what I mean? And we beat the Texans earlier in the year. So I mean, I still
the
think in the
Col-
AFC South, there's still things up in the air.
the Colts are. Here's the thing: it's either the Colts win the division and host the game, or they're the wild card. Just like the Bills, either they end up being a 2 seed, or they might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, even if the Texans win, if the Texans beat us, and then the Jags lose, they win the division.
Yeah, it's
You know
listen.
what I
The
mean?
AFC South and the NFC South are in the same boat.
No, I think the NFC South is worse. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be
Listen, it's not.
real
Is
with
it
you.
much better? Is it much better though?
I think if you talked about in a one game scenario, probably not. Over a course of a season, I think there's less instances where you would prefer to play all four AFC
Oh,
top teams
I
than
would definitely go AFC more because I believe their quarterback. The four quarterbacks are better than the NFC South for sure.
absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
But just like we said with the NFC South, if the if the Falcons beat the Saints and the Bucks lose, the Falcons win.
Right.
If,
Like
if the Saints win, the
yeah,
Bucks, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I get what you say. I get what you're saying. I just think like even with the AFC South quarterbacks, there's not one metric that says Will Levis wouldn't be the best quarterback in the NFC South, and
oh,
he's the
he
worst, and
definitely,
he is the worst quarterback in the AFC South. That's
yeah,
a,
he absolutely.
that's my point. All
So
right,
they're not far off, but yeah, but I think the Colts get in.
all right. So we ain't even got to talk about the Texans and the Steelers then.
No,
You
they're
know,
not getting in.
um, I do think like I don't know Pittsburgh is one of them teams that might want to give some things up for like um
A quarterback?
like no I'm talking about Kyler Murray. I don't think they're not getting the number. Okay, this number one pick. Let's end this whole conversation. The Bears are drafting Caleb Williams. Okay, that's not gonna happen. It's going in that direction. Okay, the Bears are gonna draft Caleb Williams. these quarterbacks that might, or these teams that are going to try to come up off their quarterbacks to get their quarterback, like Arizona might be with Kyler Murray, and Chicago will be with what's their quarterback name? Can't think of it.
Fields.
Justin Fields. Um, Pittsburgh might want to get on the phone with both of them. Is what I'm saying.
I like. I mean, here's the thing: Fields is a starting quarterback in the NFL. Maybe it's not with the Bears, but he is a starting quarterback.
Yes, he's just going to get paid too much for where his development is and where that team is right now. He's going to get
Right.
paid too much. He's at that point. He's going to hold them back.
But that's the same thinking I had with the Kyler Murray situation you were talking about.
Mm.
Do we keep Kyler or move on? Because
Okay. Okay.
he's gonna
Okay.
cost you a bunch of money without showing that he can take you to the promised land. You know what I mean? Same
Right.
situation in my
Like
head.
a Pittsburgh or like Atlanta, if they get like one of those two quarterbacks, they're going to be a scary team next year.
That'll be a much better team.
Absolutely, 100%. So, okay. So, an AFC version, do they get in? We both agree it is the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts. I do think it's closer with the Indianapolis Colts, though. That's my team, and I'm not convinced. I don't know. They do stuff from time to time, and I'll be like, I gotta keep my eyes on you. I'm not sold yet.
Listen, and they're at home too, aren't they?
Yeah,
That's always a toss up.
yeah. I don't know why we're a better road team than home team, but like
It's like the opposite of the Cowboys. At home,
we're gonna be
they're just like
scarier in the playoffs because we'll probably be on the road.
right. They might
So
want to get that wild card spot just so they
right,
can win a
right. We don't
couple.
want to win a division, you know. We want to go ahead, Jacksonville. Y'all go ahead, y'all win. We want y'all to win because we don't
You
want
do you.
we want to be home. So here it is. Um, so NFC. Talking about the NFC South, let's just say that because one of these teams is going to get in. So Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Now we know if Tampa Bay wins, they win the division. So they are playing the Carolina Panthers.
That's why I picked the Bucks.
Right. So if in the event that they lose, then the winner of the Saints Falcon game get in. Is there any chance that the Bucks? Don't hold on. Before I ask, I got a better question. Is it time for us to both officially have to admit that we was wrong about the Saints all along, and everybody that was trying to tell us differently, they were right, and we should have listened more?
Listen, okay, we was wrong, but we weren't like super wrong because this is literally a one game.
Hold on. Everybody who doesn't know what just happened in the family, what that was I'm not admitting shit.
I was so wrong.
No, I just want everybody to know that was a little family secret you just heard right there. What Daniel just said very politely and articulated it properly and sounded very educated. He basically said, I ain't admitting shit. And I said, I stand on it. I stand on business.
Listen, because like you said, if the Bucks lose, Saints win, they in.
Right.
And we was right.
Right. You're right. Yeah, man, the Saints let me down all year, man. I had high hopes for the Saints, man.
Because we believed in Derek Carr. That was our problem. We believed in Derek Carr. When he came over from the Raiders, we were like, he's the best one in the division. You know what I'm saying? He's got all these pieces, and they just have not come through.
See, I think it's more than Derek Carr, though. Like I think.
Oh, it's not all on him, but it starts there.
I know. I just feel like they got names on that team and on that offense and on that defense, and some of those names just like underperformed. Derek Carr's being one of those names, but they just underperformed like all year, and I don't. It was like, dang, like why do y'all keep losing all these games? I don't know. So
like easy games.
So in conclusion, which team in the NFC South are we saying getting in? I'm saying the Bucks are going to win the game. Again.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, just because the Panthers are just terrible, man.
You know what? I looked at them last game. I don't think that they're terrible. I think that their talent isn't what I think their front office and the GM. I think when they evaluated the talent, it's not like what they thought it was going to be. That's not the same thing as being terrible. I think this is fixable pretty quickly. I look at the quarterback or whatever, and I'm like, he's not terrible. You know what I mean? He's not.
No, he just needs protection.
He needs protection and he needs weapons, but like he's not terrible. And I'm like, okay, you can fix this. You can fix this. Somebody coming in should look at the Carolina Panthers and saying, with that defense, because it ain't like people putting up like 40 points a game or
No,
anything.
they got a good defense.
With that defense and that quarterback, if I'm a head coach, I'm saying I can fix that. If my GM, if the GM fits me, I can fix that.
That's the thing. They gave up so much to get Bryce. You got to build around him now. You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm saying is, I do think you can. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree, but
usually
like
a
you don't
team
have a
that wins one
choice,
or
is what
two
I'm saying.
games, usually a team that loses one or two or wins one or two games in a season, the quarterback is trash too. Like he's trash. Like he's a bust. And I'm like, no, Bryce Young is not a bust. Not yet. I'm not ready to say that yet.
Rookie season,
He had
no.
some flashes with nothing on offense. With nothing, he's flashed a little bit with nothing on offense, and I'm like, okay.
I know what Bryce Young is. I watched him all through college. He was dragging those Bama teams.
Mm-hmm.
People might not like to hear that, but he was. Like the reason they won a lot of games was solely on him. And it's just like with the Panthers. They got what, 2 wins?
Right.
It's because of him.
Yeah, just like that year where they had that whole defensive draft. They didn't just have a whole offensive draft and offensive
Get
linemen.
get a
Like,
couple of linemen, get you a
yeah, the
tight
wide
end,
receivers.
get you
You see what I'm saying? I think they can fix this. You know, I think they can fix this. So that's what it is. So we saying Saints out, which breaks my heart. I don't know about you, and Falcons out. So then it brings us to that final uh playoff spot. And I want to go to a team first. I think it is a little bit easier to say, but I'll say it for me. The Minnesota Vikings. I've been saying for about like the last like 6 weeks, they're gonna slide out of the playoffs. Once Kirk Cousins went down, I
oh,
said they're gonna slide out of the playoffs.
once Kirk Cousins went down and the beat down from the Packers last week, they're out.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was pretty easy.
The Lions won the division. Packers gonna get that last wild card.
So okay, so you're saying the Packers because that last seed is the Packers and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So let me just get to. Oh, I didn't mean that. So I just wanted to go over like the week 18 excuse me, games for them. So the Packers, well, the Seahawks are playing the Cardinals, which has ironically become an interesting game because the Cardinals look like they can just beat people.
Like they
And
just want to ruin people's seasons.
yeah, they look like they ripe to ruin the season. That they do look like that. And the Packers got the Bears in Chicago. I'm actually curious when they played earlier in the season, who won that game? Because that usually sways some things a lot more than you.
Packers won the first game.
You sure?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't think this is as easy as you making this sound.
If both teams lose, do the Packers get in?
I believe so. I don't see. I mean,
You
they
see what I'm
both have
saying?
NFC. They both have NFC opponents, so their conference record won't change. You know what I mean in terms of.
And that's why I lean more towards the Packers, is because the Seahawks have to win. If they lose, they're done. The Packers can lose and still get in. So
If
they
the
have a high.
well.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I feel like they have a higher percentage.
um that's interesting. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is actually ironically interesting. Both of these games they could go either way. Both of them.
Yeah,
Huh. Who do I think is going to lose more?
because that's what I'm saying. If they both lose, the Packers are still in. Packers lose, Seahawks win, Seahawks are in.
So let me see. Let me see when they play
And they're
them.
and they're both on the road.
Yeah. So when So the Seahawks won the first game. So they're both kind of in the same situation. They beat these teams first in the year, so now this is the repeat games.
They beat him at home at the beginning of the year.
You're
Here we
right.
are at the last game.
The Seahawks might actually lose this game because they beat them and they just got Kyler Murray back. So they beat them when they didn't have Kyler Murray. So they get that adjustment plus having Kyler come back. Yeah, that might be a loss for them.
Excuse me.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Green Bay's gonna get in. You did something there. You said something there. Don't get ahead of yourself, but you said something there. All right, cool. So which leads us to will they advance? So, in conclusion, before we even get to that, in conclusion, we are saying the AFC picture is going to be Niners, the NFC picture is going to be Niners 1, Cowboys 2, Lions 3. We're going to say
Bucks,
4, Eagles
Eagles, Rams,
5,
Packers.
Rams 6, and Packers 7. And then in the AFC, we're saying we're going to have Ravens 1. Oh, do you, in terms of the Bills, Dolphins game, because they play, and the winner of that, I think, wins the division.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like if the Bills win, they get second place. They lose, they still can get a wild card. That's why I feel like the
Well, I don't
Bills are
think they
in the
get second place. They lost to the Chiefs this year, didn't they?
I think they beat the Chiefs too. No, they beat the Chiefs.
Did they beat the Chiefs?
I thought they did. Let's find out real quick. I thought they did. I think I remember watching that game because remember it was that controversial end of the game. Like people were dropping passes and Patrick Mahomes was losing his mind.
I feel like that's been this whole year for him.
Oh, for sure.
Poor Pat. Yeah. Poor Pat. Luckily, right now we get a little bit more time to be able to look back into this.
Yeah, they beat him on the
Yeah,
10th.
they beat the Chiefs 20-17. You're 100% right.
So say if they win, they get the 2 seed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like this is a big game for the Bills. Like
Yeah.
they can go from being a 7 seed, a 6 seed to a 2 seed with a dub.
Yeah. Ironically, if they lose, there's a scenario where they don't
They
make
don't make it at all.
it.
Yeah.
Ironically, but it would be a lot that would have to happen. Like I can pretty much, let's see. I can look at the playoff the scenarios, the clinching scenarios, because I had that up. So if they lose to the Dolphins and the Steelers win, the Jaguars win, and the Texans Colts ends in a tie, then Buffalo would be eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a lot of hoops. A lot of hoops.
So, uh, yeah, so it would. Okay, yeah, that's very unlikely. The Texans Colts ain't ending in the top. So yeah, so they would still get in, but yeah, okay, cool. So we're saying in conclude, I think we might have to say that. So who do you think's going to win that game? Buffalo and Dolphins.
I want to go Miami because
Yeah, I tend to agree too. Okay, so we're saying the AFC picture now is the in conclusion is the Ravens 1, the Dolphins 2, the Chiefs
Chiefs,
3, the Browns no, the Chiefs 3, the Jags.
Jags.
We saying anything funky happening with the Jags or
No, they'll get in. I don't think they'll go past the first round, but they'll get in.
Okay. The Jags 4, the Browns 5, Bills 6, and Colts 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So that wraps up that segment. Now we can get to will they advance? So basically the point of this segment is there's teams that already advanced, or excuse me, not advanced, that already made the playoffs. And we want to know if they advance in the playoffs or if they lose. And all of this, it could be because of a matchup, it could be whatever, but we need to get to the bottom of, are they going to advance? So let's start with So of course the Ravens in the NFC and the AFC, the number one seeds are going to advance, obviously, because they get a first round bye. So the Ravens and 49ers are both going to advance. The Dolphins. So do the Dolphins advance? Now,
Yes.
I think they're lucky that they got the Colts right now, and
Yeah.
I just don't believe that Gardner Minshew can play better than Tua.
Tua. Yeah.
And that's
I
really the only reason that I'm feeling this. But like I don't trust the Dolphins. I think, like I said, there's a formula to beat them, and that's very unfortunate for them. But they're going to lose at some point. But I would tend to say they advance in the first round. So then we got the Chiefs.
oof,
So the Chiefs would have
the Bills
the Bills.
rematch,
Mm.
and it ended on controversy. It was
That
three
ain't fair.
points.
That is. Oh, hold on. No, I'm lying. Here's the thing. No, you're wrong. We're wrong. We're both wrong. If Buffalo loses to Miami and the Colts win, then the Colts will have the number 6 seed.
60. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
we'll have the number 6 seed. We beat them this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would have the number 6 seed. So then changing this, so then the Dolphins would have the Bills in the first round. And then in that scenario, I would say no, the Dolphins are going home. They're not advancing.
I like the Bills better in that scenario.
So hold on, we changed our pick. So the Dolphins are not advancing.
Dolphins ain't advancing if they're got to play the Bills the first round.
We're gonna get lit up in the comments for this statement. The Dolphins are not advancing. I agree. Not against Buffalo. Nope. I would pick them. And I agree. I think Dolphins will win this week. But in the playoffs, the following week,
You know what I'm saying? A rematch? You beat me last week of the year. I get to play you again the following week? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You're not giving me 2 weeks in a row.
yeah, exactly.
You're not
So
giving me
now
2 weeks in a
Dolphins
row.
don't advance. Okay, so Dolphins do not advance. Okay. So to answer that question, we think the Bills advance. We're saying the Bills advance. The Chiefs would have the Colts.
I think that, I mean, it's the same scenario with the Dolphins. I don't think they can keep up with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to the Chiefs, I just think that like this has been a problem for about 2 years for the Chiefs. Like they won the Super Bowl last year, and I've gone on record and said that is the worst wide receiver core to ever win a Super Bowl. That was not a Super Bowl wide receiver core. Okay, so they've been dealing
I
with this
mean,
for like 2 years, and I think at some point you kind of got they're going to have to figure it out, and I trust that with Patrick Mahomes uh, the most. That's a problem directly correlated with Patrick Mahomes and saying I need him to help solve this, and I trust that more than anything else. So yes, I agree. I think the Chiefs advance and the Colts do not. So then 4-5, we got
Brown.
the
I'm taking
Browns,
the Browns.
Browns and the Jaguars.
I like the Browns. Flacco is cutting up.
You know what? So I'm a person. I'm not a history always repeats itself. You know what I mean? So just like the history of the Browns is not really what I'm talking about here. I'm not sure if they really feel as though in their heart of hearts that they shed that culture. Two
Okay,
things are happening.
it's
So
a,
two
is that
things,
part?
two things are happening right now for the Browns that I think if you sat down and just said, "Don't take this year," and just said, "Just think about the Cleveland Browns," do you think this is going to happen?
Well, no, they're the
Do they,
Browns.
do they shed their culture? And does Joe Flacco really carry an offense like that? Two things that we ain't seen.
We haven't seen it in a while, but for 3 weeks now, he done put up 300 plus, three
I
touchdowns.
understand.
He's cutting up.
Understand. But I think the Jaguars will win this game. I think the Jaguars would advance in this game. And I think Trevor Lawrence is just a superior quarterback.
In
I
comparison,
trust
yeah.
I trust if we go head coach to head coach, I trust Doug Peterson more than Kevin Stefanski. Um, if we go, like I said, if we went quarterback, I trust Trevor Lawrence more than Joe Flacco. Now, of course, defensively, they're clearly that, but they're on the road. And this is a
Defense
reason
travels.
defense travels.
And it's warm weather.
I don't know. I'm going Jags on that one. I'm sorry.
I say, I mean, I think the turnover battle decides it
I go.
when
I
it's
go.
all
I
said and done.
go Jags on that one. I'm saying the Jaguars advance.
I
So
like the Browns just so they can
I
get rid of
understand.
this.
No, I understand. I understand. I just got a thing for superior quarterbacks, even if their roster's a little bit more inferior. I got a thing for superior quarterbacks and coaches. So
That'll be a good game.
that'll be a great game, and I'll be very excited to watch that. Get my popcorn ready for that. So going into the NFC, once again, the 49ers are a number one seed, so they get a bye, so they advance. Dallas Cowboys in this scenario would have
Packers.
the Green Bay Packers. Do the Cowboys advance?
I mean,
You
like you
want
were
to say
saying with the
no?
Browns,
You want to say
I
no?
can't, you know what I'm saying? It's like you were saying
I
with the
read your face.
Browns.
Like, no, hold on. What through your mind right there is what scenario can I say no to this?
Listen, listen, if they lose, that's just, they're cursed or something at this point. Like I don't see them losing. I'm picking the Cowboys, but like if they lose at home after all these wins, finally getting a playoff dub, like they're
There would be
cursed. I don't
major.
know what else to say.
I think there would be major changes this offseason if that happened. But I don't think the Packers are the team to do it. They're not. I don't think they're set up to be the team to beat the Cowboys.
The draft.
You know, with that wifey, you tell her I said hello.
Tree said, hey. No, I think the boys win the first round, but I
Yeah, yeah. I don't think the Packers are set up. I don't.
not yet.
Not yet, but no. Ultimately, no. This year. All right. So we're gonna move on to Detroit. In this scenario, they would have the Rams. Rams is scary. You know, before you answer that, I'm not lying to you. The Rams, I'm just saying they could go to the NFC Championship game too. But
Well,
injury,
because to your point, superior quarterback play.
yeah, yeah.
Superior.
So they're
Stafford can still sling it as good as anybody in the league.
very quietly. Like, I mean, he's MVP candidate, and I don't think anybody said it. Like with what he's done with this
No,
roster in a reason. Hold
because of his
on.
record.
They mortgaged their future for that Super Bowl. This is supposed to be a year where they hit rock bottom. So this roster is beyond not complete. It's more than incomplete. It's got holes in it, major holes in it, and the fact that they got a lot of young pieces and everything like that. So for them to be in this situation, it'd be scary. Yeah, Stafford had this is absolutely one of the years for Stafford where you got to give it up for him.
And trust you, Stafford would be happy to send the Lions home. He doesn't dislike them, but it's also like
That would be great. I didn't even think about that. Oh shit!
remember
Oh shit!
they
I
traded
didn't even
quarterbacks
think about that. I didn't even
the
think about that.
the year they won
Oh boy!
the year they won the Super Bowl. They literally just traded quarterbacks. That like it's rare you see a player for player trade, and they were just like, you give me your quarterback, I give you my quarterback. Like okay, bet. And then they went off and won the Super Bowl.
Okay, so who do you think who advances?
And this one, I like the Lions. I like the Lions this year. I think they offensively have more firepower.
So when you said that, it actually changed what I wanted to say. Not my pick. Detroit is where I wanted to go. But Jared Goff did get the Rams to the Super Bowl, and they traded him. If anybody's going to be mad, it's
Yeah,
going to be Jared Goff. Jared Goff is going to be the one that's going to be angry about this, and he's probably gonna be the one very excited to see the Rams. You know what I mean? Like Matthew Stafford he still loves Detroit, still loves the Lions. Matt, you know what I mean? Jared Goff is like, nah, I need to come. Y'all gotta come
Yeah,
see me. Y'all gotta
I got
come
to knock
see
you out.
me. Y'all gotta come see me.
Let's go outside real quick.
McVay, you come on over here and we're gonna see what time it is. So, I didn't even think of that. That's crazy. All right. All
So
right.
many weapons. So many weapons he has.
Yeah, yeah. And Jameson Williams steps up. Woo, woo, woo.
That deep threat, you got Amon running across slants you got the backfield, and you have a defense that's just hungry.
With that
Aiden Hudson is a
that
beast.
running game too. With that running game, keep in mind they can lean on the run game.
If they use Gibbs properly and not just run, but also give him those little quick little flat shots and let him just work.
Yeah, remember they got Montgomery too. They got David Montgomery too.
Oh yeah, that's just a handoff. There you go.
Yeah, that's what
Go
I'm
give
saying.
go
So,
give me four.
all right. Okay, so 4-5. So we agree that the Lions are going to do it. So 4-5 matchup. The Eagles would be going to Tampa Bay. Do the Eagles advance or do the Bucks?
It's Eagles reluctantly, from the what I've seen, from being 10-1 to 11-5.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They went 10-1 on the season, looking like they were about to dominate everybody, and have been 1-4 since.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. You want to be playing your best ball at the end of the year, not still trying to figure out why your quarterback ain't thrown over 200 yards in 4 weeks, or why your defense is giving up 28, 30 points a game. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
not stuff you should be working on week 13, 14, 15.
Right,
That's week 2.
right,
So I say
right.
reluctantly, but I'm going Eagles just because I stick with my statement from when we did this 17 weeks ago. I don't trust Baker Mayfield.
Hell no, I don't trust Baker Mayfield.
I
That nigga's
don't
terrible.
trust Baker Mayfield.
He's terrible. Um, Interestingly enough, I don't think we picked any upsets. Or I did. Or if you would consider it an upset, I said I picked the Jags over
Browns.
Browns. But we didn't pick any upsets.
I don't see it that this year because this year there's been nothing outstanding. I don't know how to put it. Like there's been no one team that's just like they're gonna dominate everybody type thing, or this one is a sleeper. You know what I mean? Like they lost close at home to this bad team. They went off and beat the Chiefs by 40. You know what I'm saying? Like no one's done that. Everyone's just like, are you all terrible? I mean, Chiefs are 10-6. When's the last time they
But
lost 6 games?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But we didn't pick any upsets, is all I'm saying. Do you see what I'm saying? Like something
Hey,
probably there.
sometimes the favorites come through, but I understand what you mean.
And once again, this is a 4-5. And like I don't even know if the Bucks will be favored or anything, but I feel as though the Eagles would be favored and that and the Bucks can use that as disrespect. Nah, I'm going with
Uh,
it.
Listen,
I just like this the Eagles. I just feel like the Eagles better not lose to.
that's why I said reluctantly. I'm like, oh, the way y'all been playing low lately. You
They
know
better
what I
not
mean? Like,
lose to the Bucks.
but like this, for all we know, it'll
Not
be
to
the
Baker
Cowboys.
Mayfield. Not to Baker Mayfield.
For all we know, it'll end up being the Cowboys because the Packers are mad at Mike McCarthy for leaving or something, and they want to knock him out again.
That happened so long ago.
Listen, petty is petty does,
Like 10
man.
years ago. That's all right. All right, I got you. All right, cool. Cool, cool. Okay. All right. So we both agree reluctantly. But I'm kind of sniffing the upset on that one. I don't know why. I'm kind of sniffing it, but I'm gonna stick with what I know, the logic of this. And that's what my point's gonna be.
Like it makes sense. Like if you just went position for position, they shouldn't lose. But that's why we play the games.
Yes. And it'll be very interesting to see. So I think this was a very good week, Daniel. I think we did our thing. I think we got to the bottom of some things. This is why we bring you on because we gotta get to the bottom of some shit, and we need guidance. You see,
This is the best time of year. Playoffs are about to start.
Uh-huh.
Real football is about to begin.
Mhm.
Who wants it? Who wants it? We gonna have the Colts pull off a Giants and run the tables as a wild card. We're gonna have Ravens just dominate like the Patriots and beat everybody down and get it done. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we gonna see this year?
I think it's going to be interesting how everything shakes up. But once again, bro, we appreciate you always coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule to school these young people. You know what I mean? Give them the knowledge and information that they need because they think they know stuff, but they don't know nothing.
Hey, gotta help them out. Gotta help them.
Gotta give back to the youth.
That's what it's all about.
Whitney said she believed that the children are our future. So we gotta what they say, show them the light and let them lead the way. You see what I'm saying?
Listen,
That's what
get
Whitney
them in
said.
the.
I didn't say that. That's what Whitney said.
Hey, talk to your girl. I don't know.
so that's that. So once again, guys, you can check us out full episodes on Spotify, YouTube. Check out our reels. Our reels are buzzing lately.
Yeah, reels are
Our
popping.
reels are buzzing. You can check our reels out: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Look, man, we all over the place. But unfortunately, Daniel, even after you said all of that, you said everything you said, dropped all that knowledge, and I still got to end this by telling you, because you don't know football.
I'm learning, man. I'm still learning like everybody else.
Well, just like Martin always said, I see you when I see you. Peace.